And 80% of all self-made millionaires in America start off selling personal services. Did you know that? They start off selling their own services. They start off with nothing. They have no assets. So they sell their own services, and they get better and better at selling their services, and they increase their value more and more. They increase their income, and then they do intelligent things with the money. They don't blow it. Remember, I saw this bumper sticker recently. It said, "Dear God, please send us one more boom. This time I promise not to piss it all away." How many people here work on straight commission? How many people here work on in sales or work on straight commission? Now, it's a kind of a trick question, because the answer is we all work on straight commission. We're all in sales. We all work on commission. We all work on getting a piece of the value that we create. The number one rule for becoming wealthy or financially successful in America or anywhere else is add value. Add value, create value, add value. And when we create and we add value, we get a piece for ourselves. And the more value we create, the bigger is the piece that we get. When Joe talks about earning $450,000 in one commercial, he's created value. People gave him money because he created value for them, and they gave it to him voluntarily, and they gave it to him gladly because of the value he created. So always remember, we are all on commission. We are all in sales. From the time you take your first job to the time you retire, you're the president of your own company, and you're in sales. You're the president of an entrepreneurial company with one employee, yourself, and you have one product to sell into a competitive market. What is it? Yourself, your own time. That's basically what everybody starts off with. Don't feel sorry for yourself. The only question is not where you are, but as we say, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. All that really matters is where you're going. And where you're going is limited only by your own imagination. So here's the second question. What's the highest paid work in America? The highest paid work in America is thinking. And the wonderful thing is that you are knowledge workers. You are knowledge workers. So you're at the front of the line. Is that the highest paid work in America is thinking, because of what? And it's because of one of my favorite words, and you need to think of this word for the rest of your career. The word is the word consequences. Is you can always tell the value of something by the consequences of doing it or not doing it. Now, you know this because you have invested an enormous amount of time and effort to develop your skills in copy, in advertising, internet marketing, and so on. You can realize you're one of the 5%, the elite, that realizes the way that you improve your future is by getting more knowledge and skill in the present, investing the time and the hours and the money to learn the things, because the consequences of learning these critical skills and then getting better and better at them can be extraordinary. They can make all the difference between you having a wonderful life, living in a beautiful home, having money in the bank, retiring with a happy retirement for the rest of your life, or worrying about money all your life. So consequences are important. So thinking is the highest paid skill of all. And the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. If you want to improve the quality of your life, you improve the quality of your thinking. With regard to the geopolitical ramifications of this, every single administration from Washington all the way through to today has been focused on creating a world that is good for American business. Because a world that is good for American business creates opportunities and possibilities for the American people. And creating a world that is safe for American business, creating oil lines so we can have oil from where we have to have it, trading relationships, free trade agreements have all been aimed at improving the climate for American business. And when people say, oh, America's in the Middle East for oil, I'll tell you what, if we didn't have the oil that we are dependent on from the Middle East, what would happen to our economy? The economy would literally stop tomorrow. So we can be really happy that some of the smartest people in the world are doing everything possible to keep the shipping lanes open. So don't ever complain about that. People say we should put windfall taxes on the oil companies. Really? What if the oil companies stop producing oil? Do you know what you have to do to get a gallon of gas to your tank? It has to be brought out from 5,000 feet underground on the other side of the world. It has to be shipped by pipeline hundreds and thousands of miles to ships. The ships have to come all the way to the U.S. They have to go to refineries where they're refracted. They have to then be put through pipelines and then sent to cities and put into pump trucks and then taken to gas stations and put under the ground. And you still pay less for gasoline than you pay for a bottle of water. Can you imagine that? It's a good question. You always have to ask the question, if the oil companies didn't do it, who would do it? And the answer is, thank God they're doing it. When you think about that, they have to invest billions and billions of dollars so you can fill up your tank for less than you pay for a bottle of water. Isn't that interesting? I don't want to get into economics, but probably, you know what the problem with politics is? It's the word politics. It comes from the Greek. Poly means many, and tix means voracious bloodsuckers. he said, the purpose of a business, he said, is not to make a profit. It is to create and keep a customer. Profit is the result of creating and keeping a customer in a cost-effective way. That's yours and my job, is to create and keep customers in a cost-effective way. Create and keep clients in a cost-effective way. This is one of the most important things we do. So give yourself a grade on a scale of 1 to 10. How well are you doing? And wherever you're the weakest, that's what is determining your income today. But the good news is that all these skills are learnable. You can learn the skills you need to learn to achieve any goal that you want within your business. Many people think that all you can do is all you can do, is that if you don't know, if you can't do it, it means that you don't have a flair for it. People say, oh, I'm not very good at prospecting, or I'm not very good at selling, or I'm not very good at using the telephone, or I'm not very good at making presentations. Get over it. These are learnable skills. Can anybody here, by the way, drive a car? Ride a bicycle, use a keyboard, operate a cell phone? If you can do something like this, which is a very high level of complexity, every one of those skills, you can learn any business skill. You can learn any business skill. So don't allow yourself to be held back because you're weak in a single business skill. It's a learnable skill. You're not very good at speaking, you will learn how. Every single person who is good at speaking today was one time terrified of it. They couldn't lead silent prayer in a phone booth, as they said. Now, there's a company in San Francisco called Maricon and Associates, and they did a write-up on them in Fortune magazine a few years ago, and they called them the Maricon Men. Take off on the movie. And what they do is they go into a company and they analyze the company, do a profit analysis of a company. And I want to give you this as a tool for you to think of. Remember, the more tools you have, the better that you can think with regard to your business. And what they do is they come out, and I designed this because from reading the article, but what they found is that every company has a series of products, services, activities, advertising, marketing, sales methods that are profitable and unprofitable. The first thing they do is they go into a multi-division company that has lots of products. And most products in multi-division companies, they lump together administrative expenses, overhead expenses, staff expenses, utility expenses, and so on. What they do is they go and they tease out and they work out the exact profitability of every product that the company sells. They took the exact sales volume, all the returns. They looked the exact costs of advertising, costs of promotion, costs of production, cost of manufacturing, cost of shipping, cost of defects, cost of everything, to work out exactly the profitability of each product, or in your case, each service, or each client. And then they organize them on a scale. And they say, this is your number 1, this is your number 2, and there's always a scale, by the way, for whatever you do. If you do a series of things, there's a profitability that is attached to each one. And there's always for number 1, there's always a number 2. There's always number 1, number 2. With regard to you and I, it's the number of hours that we have to put in to generate a certain amount of net revenue. The number of hours of travel, the number of hours of work, the number of hours of investment, and so on, to generate a certain amount of net revenue. And then this is the profit. Then they find that a lot of the products that multi-divisional companies have are losing money. And so what they'll do is they'll show every single product of the company along a scale like this. And then they'll, by the way, when they do this presentation, they hand out barf bags to the senior executives, because some of them throw up because they're finding they're putting all of their money. They've got this great product over here that sells like in huge quantities, and they're losing money every single time. And they can't understand why they're losing money. By the way, think of the words Ford, General Motors, Chrysler. That's where they are here. They're selling products where they're losing money. They're doing tens of billions of dollars worth of business and losing more money than you could even dream of ever even seeing in your lifetime. Imagine losing billions and billions of dollars a year on tens of billions of dollars in sales. What's going on? The answer is the costs of producing those products relative to what they actually end up with at the end of the day is so much lower. So one of the things you need to do, and by the way, this is very important as a tool if you want to be an advisor to your clients, is to help them understand what are their most profitable products. The worst use of time is for them to have you writing copy and doing advertising to sell more of a product that they're not making any money on. And many companies are not even aware of that until you help them to understand it. Whenever I show this to business people, it changes all their processes. They stop, they bring in their accountants and their controllers, they start to do call it forensic accounting. They go back and they look at every single product, and they're astonished to find that product, which has been sells like Old Man River, is what's maintaining this whole company, and they don't even pay attention to it. Whereas this product that they're spending all their time advertising and promoting, is they're losing money every single time they sell one. So therefore, ask yourself, what are your most profitable services? What are the things that you do that are most profitable? What are your most profitable clients? What are your most profitable ways of marketing? Where do you get the highest level of response when you advertise, when you sell, when you visit, when you call on people, and so on? And then organize them like this. Now, if you go into a company like Ford, what's happened with Ford is finally somebody stepped in with this. And you know what they did? They shut down 29 plants and laid off 74,000 people. Do you know what they did? They just canceled these. They said, we can no longer, these plants that are manufacturing products where we're losing money are dragging down the entire business. The business will drown if we don't get rid of these plants. And that's what General Motors is doing. Every large company eventually has to do this. They have to stop producing products and services where they're losing money. So in terms of profits, remember that net profit is the name of the game. That's what Baron de Rothschild said many years ago. Always focus on net profit, not gross income, but the amount of money that you have left at the end of the day. What is your net profit? So really important. Okay, there are 4 keys, 4 thinking tools. Remember, you are knowledge workers, and the better you think, the better decisions you make. There's basically 4 keys to marketing strategy, and they've never changed. And if you're ever having problems in any form, in any area of marketing and sales, it's because of a problem in one of these 4 areas. And these are things that you think about. And by the way, these are things that you use to help your clients, because most clients have backed into their businesses and don't know these concepts. These concepts are very simple, but I've been astonished. I speak to Fortune 500 companies and they don't know about these concepts, or in many cases, they've stopped thinking about them. So number 1 is specialization. And specialization is the starting point of strategic marketing. Specialization means that you specialize rather than generalize. It means that you focus and concentrate. You hone in on your very best customers or your very best product and service. And there's 3 ways that you specialize. 1, you can specialize in a specific service. We could say a specific product or service. What many companies do is they find that the only way they can practice these is divide into divisions, where a particular division specializes in a specific product or service. You cannot be all things to all person. Or you can specialize in a particular industry. There are some people who specialize and all they do is work in a particular industry. But of course, the more you work in a particular industry, what happens? What happens? To get better and more knowledgeable in that industry. Some of the highest paid copywriters, people that get $50,000 for writing an advertising piece, I see them all the time, specialize in a specific industry. And people say, who's the best person in our industry? That's this copywriter in New York. And they'll hire that copywriter and pay them anything because this copywriter has an intimate knowledge of the industry. And what he does, he adds on his specialized knowledge of that particular company and then creates copy that is worth a fortune. And here's the third, is a particular type of a client, particular type of client or customer or market. Like some people will say, I'm only going to work within the Florida area, or I'm only going to work within driving distance of my home. So they specialize in a market. I'm only going to work with this type of industry, to specialize in this industry. Because what the market pays for is expertise. They pay for you to be very good at what they do. There's nothing more effective, and I learned this, and Joe will tell you this, and Merrill will tell you this, people in professional speaking. When you start off, a person calls up and says, can you speak on this subject? And you're trained to say, absolutely, I specialize in that area. And customers say, oh, really? Yes, that is my specialty. Customer service, selling, marketing, advertising, security concerns, data process, whatever it is, that's my specialty. We'll say anything to get a job when we're starting off. I know that doesn't apply to you, but. So therefore, specialization is the key. Now, let me ask you this question. What is the one word in selling, in business, in marketing, in your profession that more determines your sales, your level of income, your repeat business, your referrals, the home you live in, your standard of living, your house, your home, your car, the schools your family goes to, and whether you end up wealthy, financially successful, and retired in a beautiful home on the hill? What's the one word that determines all that? Can you guess? Pardon? Who said that? Credibility. You've been here before. Son of a gun. You're absolutely right. It's the most important single word in business is credibility. It's credibility. Now, Merrill, the gentleman that, Herschel had his word, oh, are you here, Herschel? Yes. His word was verisimilitude. Did you see that? Verisimilitude. What is that? It's another word for credibility. It is the truthfulness of what you say. So credibility is everything. Is people buy or not buy because of your credibility? Credibility means that they believe that if you make a promise, you can keep it. If you say that you will do such a thing, that you will do it on time, on schedule, and it will work. There is nothing that is more important than your credibility. And here's the rule with regard to credibility. It is this: everything counts. Everything counts. Everything counts. Everything that you do or don't do, everything that you do or fail to do, everything is a plus or a minus. Everything counts with regard to credibility. And when you specialize in a particular area and you've done your homework in a particular area and you're knowledgeable in a particular area, your credibility goes up. Here's an important point. Have you ever spoken to a client that says, leave it with me, let me think it over, and they don't hire you? Have you ever had this happen? Say yes. Of course, it'll happen all the time. Now, when you meet a prospect for the first time in business, because of what Herschel was saying, what Joe has said, other people have said, is the client's level of fear is very high. Has anybody here ever made a buying mistake? Of course. You've put out good money and you did not get what you were promised. You did not get the product or service, or it didn't work, or you found it better or cheaper somewhere else, or you couldn't get it serviced and you were disappointed and you wish you'd never done it at all. Had that experience? Say yes. Okay, so what happens is every single person in our commercial market, Herschel was saying the average person is confronted with 3,000 ads a day. It's maybe 4,000 or 5,000 if you're living in a big city. What it means is that each person has made buying mistakes, and so therefore when they meet you for the first time, their fear level is very high. Their fear of making a mistake, paying too much, getting the wrong thing, being out the money, being disappointed once again, being left at the altar, being not respected in the morning. And your credibility is very low. So everything that you do from the moment of the first contact with that, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, the first contact affects this balance. It changes the balance one way or another. It either raises your credibility or lowers it. Now, as your credibility goes up, the fear goes down. As your credibility gets higher and higher, the fear gets lower and lower. And until it finally reaches the point where your credibility is so high, the person books you and pays you exactly what you asked for and is happy with your services. And everything counts. Every single customer contact, everything you do or don't do, every bit of preparation that you put in before you see a client. One of the things I tell my sales audience is I said, before you ever call on a corporate client, go to their website, download the whole website and read it from cover to cover and take notes. When you sit down with a client, you better know everything there is to know about that client that's publicly available. If you don't, then what you're doing is you're trying to con the client. And clients are very smart. Do you know how long it takes a client to know that you're not prepared? Do you know how long it takes? Within 30 seconds of their meeting, they know that you've done your homework or not. They know it instantly, and your credibility has either gone up or it's gone down. So one of the things I say to people, if you're going to call on a client who can use your services, go to the website, because every single client worthy of your services has a website. And what do people put on the front of their website? They put their best information. Their front page is their bragging page. Is this who we are, and this is what we do, and this is what we represent, and everything else. And when you walk in and say, boy, I'm impressed. I didn't realize you guys have been in business for 27 years. You have 233 people in 13 offices, and you're the number one vendor of this product or service in market area. Geez, where did you find that out? I said, I went to your website. You went to my website. Yes, it's a great website. I was really fascinated. And of course, you went to the University of Wisconsin, and you're married to a woman named Susan, and you've got 2 kids, and one of your kids plays soccer. Where did you get that? It's in your bio in the website. But when you walk in prepared, people, wow, what happens to your credibility? It goes straight through the roof. It's how soon can you start? How soon can you start? Are you with me so far? But if you walk in, here's what the idiots used to do. They walk in and say, what do you guys do here anyway? Yeah. What's your best-selling product? What's your best-selling? The rule is this. In order for you to be a highly profitable personal services business, is you never ask a question, the answer to which is available somewhere else. Because it just shows complete lack of professionalism. After that, your credibility is shot. You can't make a second, you don't have a second chance to make a good first impression. Are you with me so far? So it's really important. Okay, so that's the first one, specialization and credibility. Now, the second principle in strategic marketing is my favorite of all, and it's differentiation. And differentiation says, and basically the rule is all sales, all marketing is differentiating your product or service from that of others. Now, lead generation just says, here is a product or service that will do or will give you this benefit. Anybody interested, they raise their hand. That doesn't mean that they'll buy it from you. It just means that they're interested in that benefit. Okay, now your job in everything that you do is to differentiate yourself from anybody else who offers a similar product or service. Because when the customer starts off, as far as the customer is concerned, you're all the same. You're all the same. It's almost like you're Tweedledum and Tweedledee. So everything you do is to differentiate, which means that you have to be aware of three critical things. Number one is you have to ask yourself, what is your area of excellence? What is your area of excellence? Now, your area of excellence is where you are better than 90% of your competitors. One area of excellence can be you specialize in a particular industry and you have proven, demonstrated experience in that industry. So you have to ask yourself, where are you excellent? And here are the two really important words. Where could you be excellent? Where could you be excellent? Where should you be excellent if you want to be a big success? Can you accomplish this area of excellence overnight? No. Sometimes it takes many years. According to Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, it takes 7 to 11 years for a company to go from good to great. But they are on their way the whole time. So what is your area of excellence today? If someone were to say to you in a meeting, what way are you excellent in your business? What way are you better than 90% of your competitors? What would your answer be? And you have to be absolutely crystal clear about your answer, and you have to build all your marketing around it. Number two, in terms of differentiating, number one, is what is called your area of superiority. Now, your area of superiority is where you are superior to your competitors. It is something that you do or that you offer that makes you superior, and that makes you better than anybody else who's offering it. Now, your area of superiority can be something as simple as the fact that you have a great personality and that you like the client and the client likes you, or you have a connection with family, friends, or something else. It could be just you, the person, or ideally, it is the services that you offer. Your area of superiority is that you have more in-depth service, you've done more, or experience, you've done more in-depth work in this particular product or service area than anybody else. Others generalize and you specialize. And then the third area, which Joe talked about, which Herschel talks about, is what is called your unique selling proposition. Now, since you are all wordsmiths and you understand words, what is the characteristic of unique that makes it unique? What's the word I'm looking for? Not adverb, but adjective. What is the quality of the adjective unique that makes it separate from any other word? Any other adjective, what is it? It's one of a kind. That's very important. In other words, it cannot be uniquer or more unique or less unique or better or anything else. It is only unique. It only means one. So when you ask what is your unique selling proposition, it means what is it that you offer that nobody else offers? You are unique. There's no one else that has the same thing. It is one and only. And you always have to have a one and only. And sometimes your one and only can be that you invest far more hours on a client's account. Sometimes your one and only could be that you live closer to the client. Sometimes your one and only could be that you have specialized knowledge and experience in an industry that most people who write copy don't have in that industry. But you have to know what it is, and that becomes the organizing principle of all of your marketing. You focus on where you're excellent, where you're superior, where you're unique. And if you don't have them, then the next question is, what could they be? What should they be? What could they be? And here is what could it be? What should it be? And sometimes it's something that's very obvious. It's something that jumps out at you. But there's a rule. Remember Jack Welch's rule? If you don't have competitive advantage, don't compete. If you don't have a unique selling proposition, you can't compete. You can't go into a market and be a Me Too person unless you just basically want to worry about money for the rest of your life.